So hi Michele, well, we just had you on the CEO panel here at PA360. What do you think was your biggest takeaway from what we discussed in that 40-minute session?
I think for me it's just the amount of change that's going on in the market at the moment. I think the fact that the UK has got a growing consumer need for help with making decisions around investments and choices around homes and insuring their families. So we have just got such a big ask in terms of making sure that we can connect with the community in a way that's relevant for them. So, and I think the advice community is up for it, but we are facing into increasing regulation and cost pressures, and that makes it really quite hard for some business owners to understand what the strategy they should take is.
And the upcoming regulation, Consumer Duty, came up on stage.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of work for you at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of work for us, for companies like us, professional services organisations that support advisors, but also for the advice community. But it's worth noting that Consumer Duty actually affects everyone in the supply chain. So not only are you needing to look at your own processes and understand the value and the communication for customers, but also people that you interact with in terms of supporting that to the customer at the end of the day. And I think it is a behavioural and a cultural shift, and I think it's really important that people understand what they do today, and we'll be waiting with July to understand what the final position is, and I guess our concern is it's a very short time frame to implement, and that just is another thing to do when there's already so much to take on board.
And we kind of got into it on the consolidation front, the advice market on stage, the influx of private equity money. What are your views just generally on that kind of amplification of money coming into advice?
Look, it's great to have investment in the market. It's a sign of confidence in the fact that it's a growing market, that there are more people that need support. It's a sign that advice firms are valuable and valued. What we need to make sure though is that the investment is putting the money in, that the needs of the firms that consolidate are understood, that those that take advantage of that are clear about what their plan is in terms of what they're hoping to achieve, and the agreement with the consolidator in terms of how long that is for, what their exit plan is, and what their investment's going to be. So I mean, we welcome it, but also we also believe it's really good for advice firms to grow themselves, or to maybe look at partnering with other advice firms. So there's lots of different ways to grow, invest and grow.
What do you think is the kind of biggest risk on that front?
From a PE-backed position.
Consolidation generally in the market.
Consolidation, I think, making sure that UK consumers have access to choice, that you don't end up with a situation where it's just a few big players. I think we support variety, and making sure that there's whole of market opportunities in terms of propositions that are available. So, at the moment we're not seeing a problem in that way, but it's very early days for some of the PE money that's coming in, and I think really, really important is that they understand, any of the investors understand the regulatory burden and expectation that's on them, particularly around making sure that customers get good outcomes.
And obviously the pandemic's kind of a big theme throughout the day at this conference. What have been the challenge of the pandemic for you, and what have you learned?
Well, for me personally, I started this job 2 weeks, a week actually, before the first lockdown. Okay. So I was kind of like a lockdown leader, and I think for most businesses, our business, like most others, we adapted. So now we use technology we never did. We have a flexible office working policy. We're looking at different ways of communicating. We do a lot more video and virtual. And coming here today was great to see so many people, but mostly it's been on Zoom or from people's homes. So I think that the last 2 years has been about adapting, and I think really we're about transforming now, both our business but the advice sector, is how do we embrace these things that we've learned, how do we understand how people want to purchase, and how do we adapt to do that. I think it's a really exciting time.
And what about compliance generally? We spoke about regulation a bit, but day-to-day compliance, I think that's becoming a much bigger burden for advisor firms.
Yeah, I think compliance is compliance isn't a bad word. Keeping safe is really important. Making sure that the services that you do get the right outcomes is really important. But when that, the kind of if you're looking at your company outlay, when that trebles in terms of levies and fees, when it's increased in terms of FOS cases, and when you need to invest more in understanding regulation and deciphering it, and then investing in data to be able to give you the answers to be able to evidence, then you have to start to say, that there has to be a right balance. And the worst case scenario is that it just erodes the margins and it becomes unaffordable for advice firms. That isn't what we want to see. So we definitely at Sesame Banker Group want to help advisors navigate this complexity of regulation much more safely, and help them look at what technology can bring in efficiencies that save real time to enable them to focus on the important thing, which is talking to their customers. Yeah, I think one of the things which has really been missing in the last couple of years is that cup of tea, a cup of coffee conversation where you pick up stuff. You kind of get intelligence, don't you, and listen to what other people are doing, because in our industry it's really common that people like you are doing this, and you talk to someone about your problem, they've had that problem, they share it. I think on doing that remotely by Zoom or Teams just doesn't give you that sort of corridor conversation, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to today, is hearing kind of people's views on several of the big issues that we're facing as an industry, several of the opportunities, and reconnecting with people again, I think. And there's a lot of new people like me who have come in who maybe haven't been able to meet some people face to face. So I'm really excited about it, really great. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for joining us on the CEO panel earlier today and for giving us your time for this interview now.
Thank you.